is up, Comic Book Nation? It's your boy Connor Casey, and by the time you are watching this, I will be in Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, covering SummerSlam for all you lovely people. But today I am joined by Matt Aguilar. We're going to do a quick SummerSlam preview. Matt, how you feeling today?
Feeling good. Yeah,
just gonna totally no sell the Hawaiian look. No,
here's the thing.
biggest
I
party
thought
of
it
the
spoke
summer.
for itself. It's like putting a hat on a hat, you know? Like
It is
I didn't want to.
It is
I didn't want
indeed
to like.
a hat
I
on
think
a hat.
it's so there. You can't miss it. There was no reason for me to just whatever.
And let's be honest, the pink is in right now. I
Oh,
finally
pink
saw
is great
Barbie
color.
last night, so
Yeah, pink looks
looks good on
super great on brown skin. Does yellow not so much. So there you go. You learn
Duly
something
noted.
new every day.
But anyway, Matt,
The more you know.
we're talking SummerSlam. And before we get into, we know most of what the card looks like. But when it comes to the main event, fire up some dashboard confessional because I'm feeling vindicated. That's one for all you elder emos out there. Is I am
Wow.
feeling very vindicated about a column I wrote back in May. It was for a little site called comicbook.com. You should check them out. Lovely people, do great work. And I wrote that the decision to have Cody Rhodes lose to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39 had aged poorly. And my argument was that you could change nothing else about how WWE was booking weekly television except that result, and you would actually be better off for it. The product would have improved. And now we sit here, days removed from Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in a tribal combat rules match. We still don't know exactly what that means. But I once again feel vindicated in this opinion. Because, Matt, the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, the thing Roman has held for over 1,000 days, broken every record left and right, it's secondary. It is a background player in this match. This match isn't about that title. It's about the position of the tribal chief.
Right.
It's about the elders. It's about the Anoa'i family. It's about, is Dwayne Johnson ever going to show up on television again? It's about Roman's idea of what he means to his own family tree instead of the title. Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes is in a match with Brock Lesnar where we will be checking our watches, waiting for this damn thing to end so he can go do something else. So I don't know how you're feeling. I'm sure it's going to be a great main event. Roman always delivers, and Jey has every time he's been handed the ball and said, hey, knock this one out of the park. But I still feel like Roman did not need the title for this story to be as compelling as it is.
Do you want my opinion?
I want your opinion.
Okay.
Speech over. I want the opinion.
I disagree. I think you, yes, because all the things you were saying are actually correct. I agree with you wholeheartedly on 95% of that, because you're right. Like the main crux of the story is, the family and obviously, no pun intended, the bloodline and all of those things, the history and everything, the tribal chiefism. But none of that has the authority that it does without him holding the title. If he doesn't have the title, it's very easy to just shoot holes in that. And it doesn't come across with the authority as it does when he's got the title around his waist.
That is Paul Heyman propaganda.
It's true.
Right, because
it's true.
His authority was only ever over his family. And even if he doesn't have the title, he still gets to bully his family around.
He does, but he can't. It's not the same bullying the rest of SmackDown is his show. Like it has been his show.
Well, actually, it's LA Knight's show if you check the merchandise sales right now.
Yeah, that's true. And by the way, props to LA Knight. I do hope he gets some title gold around his waist at some point in time very soon. They're very good at teasing
for this show. What the hell?
Huh?
Like that. I hope that gets fixed in between the time we're recording right now and the show itself. What the heck is he not booked?
Well, okay, so that's an issue right now, because there's we're gonna get derailed. Let's go back to LA Knight. Let's circle back to LA Knight, because that's its own conversation, because I love LA Knight. But what I will say is that it it takes away some of the authority and some of the believability when he doesn't have a title. By the way, it doesn't even have to be that title, but he's got it already, so it doesn't make any sense to take it off and give him another title. Like it's just keep it on him. He's already got it. It's done. Some of this stuff was done in the previous administration. We just got to roll with it, right? So I very much feel like if you take the title away, it does actually take some of the I don't know what it is. Not even the authority. It's just some of the allure and stuff. I feel like he needs that to until this whatever conclusion. Whoever takes it off him, that needs to be a thing. Someone needs to take it off him. I'm actually as time goes
WrestleMania 39.
As time goes on, I don't really care anymore. Like the Cody thing doesn't bother me anymore. It's gone away with time.
Why? Because you don't have to cover Monday Night Raw live each week.
Well, here's the thing. That is, and I will give this to you because we actually differ a lot sometimes when we talk about the Bloodline stuff, when we talk about Roman. I watch SmackDown every week live and cover it, and I am constantly engaged. And I feel like that helps me when we get into these conversations because I'm engaged every Friday. Like I enjoy, like, there's actually great TV. This is a great feud. The Jay stuff, the Jimmy stuff has been, the solo stuff they're doing now is fantastic. I feel like the title adds to that. You sometimes don't get that like kind of like injection of energy on Fridays, and then you have to do Mondays. And so you get like kind of, I feel like in a lot of ways the leftovers of the Bloodline stuff, like they'll occasionally move over, but you're getting like the other side.
Kind of stopped doing that at this point now that the Usos don't have the tag titles.
So I do feel like there is truth to that. Absolutely.
My only counter to that is that the biggest stars of the last 20 years, whether it was Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, even when they didn't have the world championship, they were still the focus of the show. So the idea that Roman Reigns without the title is no longer the focus of SmackDown is a fallacy.
Well, I didn't say that. You're twisting my words.
That's what you did say.
I didn't say that.
This is his show and the title.
And because we're in the middle of this storyline, you just expanded it to, obviously Roman Reigns without the title is still still top-notch star, and he still will command a certain amount of star power.
He'll still command,
but we're in the middle of this storyline.
Would still have been in main events because it's Roman Reigns.
We're in the middle of this storyline though, and that title is tied to him. It's a part of it. You can't just remove it and then go, it'll still be the same.
And my argument is that without the title, the story doesn't lose as much as people think it would have.
I don't think it all goes away.
The crux of my argument.
Yeah, I don't think it's all.
Still would have worked without it.
Yeah, I don't think it's garbage without the title. Absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it does actually matter. And it doesn't, whether the extent of that is absolutely debatable. And I can 100% agree. Like, it wouldn't completely fall apart and there would still be engagement. But would it be the same? Nah, I don't think so. But, agree to disagree on that.
We're doing a podcast, man. We got to disagree on something. But anyway, let's run down the rest of this show. The Judgment Day might all have something by the end of this show.
Dum baby.
They might have nothing. But by the end of that show, Rhea might be the only one with a championship because Finn's taking on Seth. Damien's waiting in the wing. She doesn't have a match. What is up with that? Like, she's like, I'm the Raw women's champ. I'm the women's champion on Raw. I'm one of the most interesting figures on the show. I'm on it all throughout the show every week. I don't have a match at SummerSlam, and I don't really have a feud that anybody's going to talk about. Like, Raquel's there, but we know where this ends. So
the most engaging stuff she's doing is on NXT.
Yeah, and Becky and Trish is a more interesting storyline going into this show.
Yeah, it's true.
And props to them. I always say, the health of a division is measured by how many matches you have that aren't for a championship that are interesting. Women's division's looking great right now because of that.
Yeah.
But I find that odd. How do you feel about the Seth versus Judgment Day thing?
I take this on a case-by-case basis. I've liked what he's done with Damien. Damien Priest is having a great year, man. Dude's showing every time he's out there, and he belongs, and it's awesome to see him like really have success. So I thought the stuff he did with Seth and the Judgment Day overall has been great. However, the stuff they're doing with Finn is 10 times better, but it's just because of all the natural history that is there, and they're doing the smart thing and playing off it. It would be stupid to ignore it. And Seth's doing that wonderful thing where he, like, the more eccentric vibes of his character kind of fall away because, you know, he's able to like really go in. Like, that's actually what made some of the Riddle stuff really interesting, is when he just like shed that and just like really went
when the
him.
Joke is over, then it's like, oh, he's not messing around.
And he's doing that with Finn, and it's awesome to see. And so I think on a by case storyline basis, like, I think what they're doing there is great. And overall, the Judgment Day, I think it's smart to give them gold. I mean, if you're going to have a faction, look, this is one of the things we complained about Damage Control constantly. If you're going to have a faction, let them win something.
Right.
Let them be a powerhouse, you know.
This show kind of feels make or break for me with the faction. As much as I enjoy what they do, if after this show, you know, Finn fails again and Damian doesn't cash in, if somehow, if by the end of, I guess, whenever Damian cashes in, if neither him nor Finn have ever hold the championship, if that doesn't happen, the group might as well break up, because it's like you now have multiple chances at a world championship.
Yeah.
You have failed all of them. Time to wipe the slate and try something else. Because where do you go from there if you're either of those guys?
I agree with you that I feel like if either one of them if they don't walk out with more gold than they went in with in some way, then I do agree with you that a change is needed. I wouldn't dissolve the group because it's so popular and successful. Like, I wouldn't necessarily dissolve it, but I do agree. And they've been teasing that too, right? Yeah. Like, they've been teasing things about issues between Damian and Finn, you know, like some of that stuff, even between, like, you know, Rhea and Dom and Damian and Finn, like, so they've been teasing some things. Could you see another switch out or add another member and kick someone else out? I absolutely think so. And I think you'd need that, because you're right. If you've had 4 chances and you can't capitalize, at some point it's like, okay, I'm starting to not take you seriously. Like, you know, just look no further than, you know, Schism over in NXT. It's like, oh my God, how many times you got to lose before I got to stop seeing you on my TV screen?
Right. It's the Wyatt family. It's the Nexus.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
When groups just lose over and over when they get to the big match, it's like, okay, now I have to stop caring because I know how this ends.
Agreed.
Anything else on the card that's really caught your attention?
I think, you know, it pains me to say this every time, but I think Logan Paul's going to have a burner with Ricochet. That's going to be one of those everyone walks away from and goes, oh, that was a great match. And we're going to have the same discussions every time that we have with that, of like, well, he had this long to prepare. This is the only match he had. Like, Ricochet's a freaking pro, you know, can turn anything into gold. So I think that's going to be another one. I am curious about the Rousey Baszler thing. That's a match that everyone has wanted for so long. It's a feud that everyone has wanted for so long. And this is supposedly the cutoff date, right? Because
there's speculation of when her hard out is.
Yeah.
But based on the fact that the story we kind of hit the fast forward button, tells me it's either after SummerSlam or in a couple of months, and we're just not going to see her in the intermediates. That's my guess.
So yeah, I am curious to see how they wrap that.
I'm with you on Shayna Rousey. The way they're labeling it as specifically a fight makes me really wish that they would break out the fight pit, because if there were ever a match to do it, it's this one. For these big stadium shows, they like a cage. They like something big visual that they can bring in. I also had the thought that, you know, as long as athletic commissions don't have to get involved, have them go do a shoot fight. Like, Ronda will win.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be entertaining.
Will she, though? If she's leaving, you don't think Ronda she would do the
thing is, like, if it's a shoot MMA fight, Ronda wins. And there's no real argument there. But
yeah, but if it's a complete shoot. But I don't know.
If it's a fight pit, then I think Shayna wins because Ronda's leaving and she wants to put her friend out.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So even if it's a like, hey, go out and fight, but like at some point Shayna needs to win. Like even that, I would be. I don't know. I just find it hard to like. They are really close friends.
Yes.
And Rousey, I can totally see Rousey wanting to set her up. If I'm leaving and you're going to be here, I'm going to set you up for the long haul. That's a great win to have. So
yeah,
I would hope that's the case. But I am curious to see how that wraps because of the behind the scenes stuff we know of, like she's leaving, she's kind of, wrapping up her run. I want Baszler to really, Baszler's looked really good in this so far. Even the few things we've seen, I wish we saw more, but like she's looked really good in like the Baszler from NXT era. So I hope that continues. She shouldn't be getting, bitten or biting people or whatever that was.
I absolutely agree. Although let's ditch the vampire thing we were doing there for a second. I'm shocked you didn't bring up Drew versus Gunther, 2/3 of what many consider to be the match of the year.
It's going to be great. But it's one of those things. I feel like it's probably it's like a double-edged sword of like, we know it's going to be great. When you put Sheamus and Gunther in a ring, it's going to be great. Like and so I fully expect that to be awesome. And we might walk away with like, that's match of the night, but I know what to expect. So I do actually feel like it's probably a, slave of its own success, right? Like I very much know that's going to be great. It's kind of like for a while there, we used to talk about like Bianca Belair matches like that and kind of forget to talk about them because it was like, it's going to be like match of the night contender. And so that's my fault, but yeah, that's going to be good.
Last thing, I was at WrestleMania 39 and I watched a lot of the reaction that came from, I know a lot of the reaction that came from after the fact. And it really felt like that was a show. It was a tale of two different nights where night one, people loved that thing all the way through. Basically, the worst match on that show was the John Cena match. Somehow.
It's nuts.
Meanwhile, night two's got some great highlights, is ended with a very controversial moment. Overall, people gave that show a very positive grade. Does SummerSlam outdo it?
Outdo night two or WrestleMania as a whole?
Just the show as a whole.
Oh, wow. No way. I just think numbers. I just think it's a numbers thing. Like there were so many really great matches and Bloodline storyline was like, the Kevin Owens, Zayn, like all that stuff factoring in. Rhea becoming champ. Like, I don't know. There was just so much great stuff there. I don't know if it can, because of the matches I'm very excited about. You did mention like Cody versus Brock. And while I'm invested in the longer story of Cody, not necessarily invested in this chapter of that story. Like the triple threat match is going to be good because it has three talented people in it, but I don't expect Asuka not to leave gold. Like there are a couple chinks in the armor that I'm looking at. There's not going to be any Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on here because Kevin's evidently hurt. So I just look at the numbers and I go, I don't think it can. It very well could. I could very well eat my words, but I just think overall, there's just WrestleMania was fantastic. Even though night two did actually, if you compare them side by side, it was no contest. Night one was just run away. It was fantastic.
I agree. I agree on WrestleMania being great. I think SummerSlam has an outside chance. I think if you look top to bottom on this show, you have a lot of the pieces of what made that show great. True. In different scenarios. Seth Rollins is obviously in a high profile world championship match. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, we still go back and talk about their first two encounters. Cody versus Brock, I've already said my piece about it, but I'm sure Cody's going to do something that gets people talking. Yeah. I think Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka, they're going to try and steal the show, and they've got stiff competition on the women's side from Becky and Trish, who, credit where it's due, I didn't think they were going to be able to make a storyline last all the way up until now, given where it started.
Yeah.
Well, they absolutely have.
And they've and props to also Zoe Stark on that. She's done her part super well, and it's great to see them like utilizing an NXT talent so well right off the bat. But yeah, credit to that too. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect this to last months. And I also didn't expect Trish has looked fantastic in the ring when she's jumping in there, and like her promos have been good. Yeah, all the kudos.
And she's talking about steel cage matches now in interviews. Like, I hope she sticks around.
Yeah,
I don't expect it after this. I think this is the end. But she's, as far as like legends coming back for another run go, I think she set a new bar.
Fantastic. I was good. This is like very much like 2016 Goldberg, when he first came back, and they had that kind of
for different reasons.
Like, right. But I'm saying
we're still mad about Kevin Owens versus Goldberg.
Right. But like overall, though, if you look back at that first part of his run, he got a lot of goodwill, and you see those reactions, those pops are real, and not just like legend pops because like, oh, a dude showed up. They're like pops. And by the end of that storyline, he won them over. And I feel like he really did a lot to kind of restore his status. Then he hung around too long. Did a bunch of other stuff, came back, all that. But like that small, like that run, that kind of first run was really good. And I was really happy with it. And it's what you want to see when legends come back and have that kind of run. Trish has like blown that, out of the water. So kudos to her.
But anyway, my last point on the topic is, I think between Gunther and Drew and Jay and Roman, there's a couple of match of the year contenders on this card to where there's an outside shot. This could outshine WrestleMania. And I'd be very curious to see the general reaction to it. But I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments. I know I'm right about the Cody Rhodes situation, but tell me why I'm right. And for all the coverage of SummerSlam, we're going to have a ton of interviews, ton of videos. Check it all out. Comic Book Nation on YouTube, comicbook.com's WWE page. And you can follow me on Twitter at ConnorKCCB.
You can follow me on Threads at Matt Aguilar CB.
Who's on Threads anyway?
Actually, you're not on Twitter anymore, Connor. You're on X.
Oh, yeah. X is going to give it to you. I'll see you guys later.